A few years back, my wife and I had this couple over for Shabbos. Really great people. They were older, and because of that, they really felt, they had a fire under them. We got to get our family started as soon as possible. They didn't have so many years left. And as it would turn out, they ended up having 2 sets of twins within the time span of 5 years. So we had something like, two 4-year-olds and 2 2-year-olds. And oh my gosh, those kids were full of energy. It was clear, these kids were more than enough for them, and their kamikaze jumping off my couch was more than enough for me. I didn't want anything broken. At a certain point in the meal, the mom turns to me and she asks, "Is this normal?" And at first, I took it for normal parental exhaustion. I mean, listen, this lady hadn't slept straight for the past 4 years. Drive anybody crazy. And so I kind of laughed it off, and I was very sympathetic with her. I got kids of my own. Definitely not 2 sets of twins. I can't hold a candle to her. But as we talked, I realized she wasn't unloading her exhaustion on me for sympathy. She was really worried. Was there something wrong with my kids? She was turning to me for help. Now we as people, we all have an intuitive sense of what a problem is. And while this mother did not need to seek a psychiatrist or psychologist to treat her kids, they were normal kids, they were rambunctious, it totally made sense how exhausted she was. And it was fair to say that she would definitely benefit from learning parenting techniques, sitting down with me or someone else, and that would be enough. We all need a little help. But either way, it's a fair question to ask. How do you know where, what's that line between normal parenting problems, normal stress, and, oh man, there's something wrong with my kid? So there are 5 different warning signs to look out for that tell you, okay, this is a problem. This is not just parenting strategy. This is serious. Number 1, impairment. Seeing, is my kid able to fulfill the expectations at home and at school? And this can be a hard one because, especially nowadays, we live in very demanding times. Schools demand a lot from kids. But you kind of get a sense, some kids are able to do it, and some kids aren't. And this is easier to tell, when kids start entering elementary school. It's not so obvious and gone, this is a problem. But what you're looking for is aggression, high levels of activity, anxiety, being down, being depressed, and that these things are not just feelings, but they're getting in the way of normal functioning in life. Number 2, you see there's some really risky behavior going on. It's more than just being angry, but you're starting to worry about the other kids. He's just being too aggressive with his brother or sister. Someone's going to get hurt. There's a sharpness to the anger. Maybe you're seeing cruelty to animals, making threats against other adults, wanting to kill other people or threatening that they want to kill themselves. All these things, these self-harming behaviors, if they're coming up, these are things to worry about, and they need to be addressed ASAP. As a tangent, not exactly risky behavior, but if you're noticing something along the lines of being overly fixated with objects, easily your kid could be mesmerized by a single object for hours, or the kid's able to, he built, let's say, builds a nice tower of blocks, and it's time to pick up, and every time, it's not just he doesn't want to put the blocks away, but it is life-shattering that you put the blocks away. That also could be a warning sign to look into. Number 3, dramatic changes in behavior. Almost like overnight, you're with a different person. They're sudden, but they're also sustained over a long period of time. That it's just not normal. You know, the kid's not eating the way he used to. The kid's not sleeping the way that he used to. Maybe there's a lot of bedwetting going on. And we're talking about a couple weeks, but it's this sustained change in how they're behaving. That's another warning sign. Number 4, clear signs of distress. The kid's not ruly. Now, listen, every kid doesn't listen. But your average kid, normal run-of-the-mill guy, is going to listen to you about 75% of the time. So you got that 25% in there where the kid is just on a different road than you. That's normal. Kids don't listen sometimes, but it's sometimes. If it gets to the point where it's 50% of the time, are you going to be faced with a tantrum? Are you going to be faced with unruly behavior? The kid's not minding, and you could really flip a coin to it. That's a warning sign. And number 5, there's unmanageable at home and they're unmanageable at school. And it could really be either. You know, you have mixes of kids who they're complete angels at school and everything falls apart at home. And you have the reverse. So what you're looking out for is a fundamental breakdown in being able to be a part of the community at home, the community at school. Are they able to fit in with others in either environment or both? That too is a warning sign. So outside of that, listen, it's extremely helpful for parents to be able to learn the distinction between what's a normal parenting problem that parenting techniques, some training will help out. You know, go back to parenting school and take the classes. To be able to distinguish between that and this is a problem. My kid does need help. Some sort of treatment, maybe medications on the table, or maybe just being able to sit down with a professional and talk every week. There are real solutions out there. You know, therapy works. And if that's what's called for, there's no sense waiting years, letting the problem get worse, and there's no sense beating up on yourself, wondering were you a good enough parent. Because chances are you are.